My name is Robert, and this is Unedited. Every week, we come at you here live at RCO Network here at Studio 110, Phoenix, Arizona, talking to different entrepreneurs in their business and kind of what they do. Like I said, my name is Robert Morales. I'm here with a special guest today, a very special guest. He's a musician, songwriter, singer, many other things, but I'll let him explain that. Please welcome Mr. Casey Ryan, or Ryan Casey. Yeah, there it is.
I don't know what to do with these.
You don't know what to do with your hands?
Yeah.
I never know what to do with my hands. I mean, it's a very precarious place in life to have hands and to know exactly what to do with them.
Yeah. I always before I got here, I was like, I'm not nervous, and then like there's always that like little moment of nervousness before you like it hits record. But yeah. I think once I get going, I'll be fine. But yeah, I can't feel my legs. So.
There always seems to be something weird about like we can shimmer and talk for like hours at a time on this show before we go on live. Then all of a sudden, as soon as we hit the button, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, there's something about I think like finding that balance of being able to be who you are once it's like rolling. You just kind of gotta I think tune it out a little bit. Because that's why I like having the headphones in, so I can hear your voice in my head and hear my own, and I can look at you and just ignore
what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, and we were actually talking about that vulnerability, right? Embracing the things in life and being, I think, trying to figure out that balance. We were talking about balance a lot between being scared and excited, right? And I think at the end of it's kind of a choice, isn't that?
I think it depends on a lot of factors. I think that you can choose what you consume in your diet. You can choose what you consume when you watch television or what you listen to or the people you surround yourself with. There are things that aren't your choice. Obviously being born into circumstances that aren't necessarily as favorable or ideal as they could be compared to people that are maybe given more of a head start. There's definitely inequality in that regard. I think that as you get older, though, it's not necessarily what happens to you that is your fault, but it is your fault and responsibility how you handle it and how you, like, for example, being scared or excited. I mean, those are pretty normal human emotions. I get scared all the time, but there's a certain degree of pushing past the fear that you're able to do if you work on cultivating that skill, for sure.
Yeah, we talked about diet. How do you feel about whiskey and wings? Is that
whiskey and wings?
Is that on the acceptable? Dietary choices. I
love to eat. It's my favorite thing in the world to do. Yeah. My girlfriend will attest to that. We both eat a lot, and but I also do a lot of things to counteract the overeating because I definitely overeat. But I like whiskey every now and then. Yeah, I'm not a huge drinker, but once or twice a month maybe I'll have a drink or something like that.
We kind of are around here. I
won't
fine. Divulge any secrets.
That's fine.
But there might be other participants here that.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean everybody has their thing. I have my other things that I choose to do too. But no, that's awesome. Whiskey's delicious when it calls for it. When I'm called to do it, I'll do it. For sure.
When it calls you to the table. But that's all about being a songwriter, right? That's kind of the turf, so to speak. You kind of have every concert I've gone to. Usually the guy up there singing is usually drinking something or smoking something. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of like the rock star lifestyle, right? Yeah. Like Keith Richards, he had that cigarette like ready to go on the end of his guitar all the time.
Yeah.
It was almost like, just incense just burning away.
And he's still kicking.
Yeah.
He's like 95,000 years old and he still runs around like he's 25. So it's pretty cool. So there's maybe something to that. I thought about this before. I think that there is something to not stressing about the things that you put in your body so much. I'm not saying genetically maybe that's different for people, but there are some people that smoke and drink every day until they're 100, so it's interesting how different we're all built in that way.
Yeah. What got you in the music thing anyway?
That's a good question. My mom was always singing and listening to music growing up. I mean, I think like most people listen to music, but my parents, while they were still together, they they were always playing the Eagles and Matchbox 20 and, just a wide variety of music that I listened to when I was growing up. And then when I was 13, one of my friends from middle school, who I'm still friends with till today, don't talk to him that much anymore, but him and his dad play guitar, and then I always just looked at it with admiration, and every time I was over at their house, I really enjoyed listening to it. And then my dad bought me my first guitar when I was 13, and I just fell in love with it. So I originally got an acoustic, and then I evolved to an electric, and I started playing like all the Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, The Who. That's how I got good at guitar. And then that evolved into like emo music and metal music, and I had a huge, I'm still kind of like that. I listen to that music still to this day, and then once I got into college, it was more, I gravitated to more like mellow acoustic stuff. And then I did my talent shows in high school and stuff. I won a couple of them, but I wasn't like, I don't know how. There must have been no talent in my high school because I don't know how I won them because I wasn't good. I had to really work to be good at music and good at singing. It's a very long-winded answer, but basically from my parents is how I got into it, and then just friends in my social group. Yeah,
so. it's just like a weird proclivity, that you're just inclined to. I remember watching my uncle, playing guitar at my grandma's house next door, and I just was captivated by it. And he's just like, I resonate with music a lot, and I think we've talked about it before.
Sure.
And it has it has significant meaning to the person like playing it. It's that place, for me, and again, I don't know if it's the same for you, but it's that place where I can kind of hide, and by no means do I feel like I'm good. I just like, I like the fact that, you can pick up a guitar and know the chords or know, how to play it. You pull up guitar tabs and then somebody yells out, "Hey, do you know how to play, AC/DC?" And you're like, "Oh shit, I know the chords. I can play it. If you sing it, I'm good with it."
Sure.
But just having that kind of that place where everybody can kind of come together and congregate and sing along, I can sound bad and then have them sing drunkenly, and and I have a place there where I feel like a part of something.
I think, I agree with that. I think that the really cool thing about music is I'm sure that I'm not the first person to say this, but music really is a universal way of bringing people together. And I mean, even if you're at a dive bar and the house band is awful, like there's still people out there dancing to it for a reason, because it's like, it's almost as if it's built into our DNA, movement and sound and like that attraction toward it. And I think for me, that's the most pure way I've ever experienced what I perceive to be what a God is, or any sort of spiritual connection to a divine, is through music. Like if I'm playing a show in front of a certain number of people, and they're, in the rare occasions, I want to emphasize very rare occasions where there's been people in my audience singing my songs back to me.
Well, that's an awesome feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I've never felt, and when that does happen, there's really aren't any other moments that I can compare it to that feel better than that. And like where I feel just what I'm doing, I feel like I'm supposed to be where I'm doing, where I am, and who I am in that moment. And it's a beautiful feeling. So
that's definitely awesome. And so we talked about the show a little bit before we got on, and we music in itself, you can get lost in the art of it, but there's also a business behind it too. Mm-hmm. And I think most people kind of forget, when they go to like a bar, or they go to like, Dierks Bentley, and they see the band up there, and they're not just playing up there for free. You know what I mean? They're not just playing for fun. I mean, well, I think part of it is, but there's also a business side of that too. Yeah. You get paid for doing this stuff. And I would say any kind of art is really minimized as far as its value in society. But yet we all love it, right? We all love to go see a live, performance, but yet we don't value it as much. Like, a lot of venues won't pay as well, I would say. And so do you want to describe a little bit kind of the business end of what you do?
Sure.
For our entrepreneurs out there.
Yes. So it's a little bit probably of a longer answer, but if you're patient or if you're willing, I will describe kind of like.
We charge per the hour.
Okay. Where it's, okay. Awesome.
A little bit.
Yeah, so I think about this all the time, and I say this to people all the time, whether they're musicians or not. People think, can I cuss on here?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay, cool. Because, I mean, I definitely, I'll try to minimize the cussing because I want to sound more intelligent.
We just don't have the little blur thing if you get naked. So.
But
Which I'm sure Tiffany and other people wouldn't mind, but
people think,
I have a problem.
people think that if you're not like fucking Ed Sheeran or Justin Bieber and you're a musician, then you're broke. Then, I mean, people don't realize that there is a gigantic gray area. There are thousands of musicians out there that walking down the street, you would have no idea who they are, but they have millions of fans and they're making plenty of money. And that spectrum, like between an open micer and the Ed Sheerans, there is so much room to make money. And like, just speaking on monetary terms in general, there is so much room to profit and make money playing music. Now, there is a certain degree of time I think that it takes paying your dues. For me, again, I was always a pretty good guitar player like growing up, but for me to get good at singing took a while. And when I first started playing live, and I've heard like recordings of that back then.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's like night and day compared to like how I am now.
Yeah.
But when I first started playing, for example, the first year I started playing live, my buddy Mike, I think he's watching this, he's my best friend. I met him and I played him a couple of my songs and he's like, you should start doing this for real, like take this seriously. And I never really thought about doing that. I just always played open mics just for fun or whatever and just never really thought about pursuing it. I always wanted to, I just didn't really know what that would look like or how I would go about it. And then he ended up booking me a show in Montana, and he made a flyer.
Without telling you, is that what it was?
Yeah. And he also signed me up for The Voice, and I'll get into that later too. But so he didn't even tell me any of these things, and then he did them, and then I just ended up doing them because he did them, and I didn't want to be like, hey man, no, I'm not doing that after you did this really sweet thing as a friend. But when I first started playing live, it was basically for no money. I mean, it wasn't free, but it wasn't, I mean, I think it was like $50 for 3 hours. And that's all. For people that don't know, singing for 3 hours
is a lot.
Takes a lot out of you. And it takes, I mean, most bands you're going to see that you love, your favorite band, just say a name. They're playing maybe for an hour and a half, maybe. But like, I was playing 3 hour shows. I mean, I still do that too, but I was playing probably 225 shows a year for 4 or 5 years for like 3 hour sets each. I mean, and that's a lot of singing. That's a lot of music putting in the hours. So to get back to the business side, I had to put in the time necessary to cultivate that skill and get good at it to where it was just second nature. Because now when I play a show, I don't need to look at anything. I don't need to read lyrics. It's just all in my head. It's almost autonomous.
Yeah.
So, but I think that part of the beginnings of any adventure or venture, whether it's music or business or anything, there's a certain degree of value that you have to put in first to get. I mean, that's old adage. That's old knowledge that everybody knows about. So once I started to develop the skill and have the value, that's when the money came. That's when, like, not necessarily a lot of money all at once, but that's when more opportunities started to come, which allotted me more money. So festivals, like my first big show ever was I opened for Third Eye Blind and Dashboard Confessional in Denver in 2015, I want to say. So that was about a year and a half after I started playing live, like pretty consistently. And that was very lucky that I even got that. So after that, I kind of made some contacts. And then after I did the voice stuff, I made some contacts. And then you meet the right people. Yeah. But the biggest thing, I think, specifically for music, because I'm not saying it's the most difficult industry to break, but it's definitely at the top of the list. I mean, it's got to be up there to have like any sort of success to where you're playing outside of your hometown. So basically, once I started to get the skill cultivated, which created more opportunity, which created more confidence in myself that I was actually able to do this, that's when I really started to believe that it was a possibility. So after I got that confidence built up, I started to branch out from northern Idaho to Seattle, and then to Portland, and then more into Denver. And then I started like, oh, what if I can book shows in LA and do a little mini tour down there? So that's what I started to do. So after those years, I put in the time of marketing myself, and not only that, but continuing to cultivate the skill, but also just like bombarding the world with my music. I mean, I would spend hours emailing venues, contacting booking agents, posting on social media frequently, posting to my YouTube channel And a lot of those times, they don't. A lot of the times in music, I would say roughly 8 out of 10 times, you're going to be met with some level of disappointment. I mean, that's just the reality of the music industry.
Yeah.
It sucks, but those 2 times out of 10 that are amazing make it all worth it, because you're really going to suck at a lot of this, the marketing side, sometimes the music side, the songwriting side, but you get all that out of you and you build the confidence, and then eventually that turns into value, which turns into money.
And I think you just described a whole like platform of somebody starting their business.
Yeah.
That's just anybody in general. I mean, when I started my business, 7 years ago, same mindset. It's just like, who's going to use me? Have all those doubts, but you still keep going at it, and you keep chopping away small bits at a time.
That's the biggest thing I would say for music, again, because it's so difficult. So I think it's just that staying persistent, because so many of the times, I mean, I've wanted to quit so many times. I mean, I've gone through ebbs and flows of just wanting to just hang it up so many times, but then I just keep going, and then something cool ends up happening. So if it's
is that the same for you? Like you have those moments where you're just, why the hell am I doing this? Oh, man, I don't know why I'm doing this again. And then you go out there and you make a win. It's like, okay, now I know. Yeah. Okay, fine, I'm gonna give it another go, and it just keeps going.
Yeah, but that's a fucking perfect metaphor for life. I mean, honestly, that really is. I mean, most of life is going to be, you're going to have like momentary glimpses of happiness, fulfillment, and peace. And I'm not saying all of it. And again, some of it is self-imposed, but a lot of the rest of it is going to be failure and coming up short and not showing up the way you want to, and having people reject you, or you inflicting your own harm to yourself and self-sabotage, whatever it is. I mean, there's so many things, but music for me has just been one of those things that, once I developed the confidence in it and the skill to do it, I just knew in my head that I could do it. Like, I know that I can do it as long as I'm given the opportunity to keep doing it. And it all depends on like how you define your own. I mean, I truly believe that we all define our own success. I mean, a janitor at Walmart, who's the best janitor at Walmart, he's the best in his field. And like and you can work hard to be that person in that position. For me, I want to be the best. I want to put in the most I can to the thing that I love the most, and that is playing music and writing music. And once that switched in my head, and I stopped caring about what I thought people would think about the music I was writing, and then just write what I actually wanted to, that's when everything shifted for me. And again, it's not because I don't still have those moments of doubt or wanted to fucking quit, because I do for sure sometimes. But now it's to a point where I understand what that is. So when it comes, I'm far more able to cope with it when it does come. But over the years, I've learned a lot of like what to do, what not to do. And especially with music, it's basically you basically only make your money from playing live now. I mean, streams, yes. I mean, I've made like a little bit of money from I mean, it's not, I can't retire on it, but it's something for sure. But
I think we've made 27 cents so far on our YouTube channel. I'm like, holy shit, we actually made money.
Yeah, and, there we go. Yeah, but those opportunities that you get that I would say, probably about 8 or 9, maybe 10 times a year now, I get like a really cool opportunity to do something that I haven't done before, or play with an artist that I haven't. Now, this is where the whole thing about everything is your fault, and also...
it's the name of the title. We named...
Some things aren't your fault, So I was, for about a year and a half solid, I was playing, especially right when I moved to Arizona, like just before I moved to Arizona, I was playing Austin all the time, Phoenix all the time, LA constantly, headlining shows in Seattle. Like I sold out one of my first shows ever in Seattle, like... So things were going very well for me musically. And then, and it was finally, after all those years of just eating all the dick, I finally got to a point where I was able to do what I always wanted to do and be content with it. And then COVID. I feel like that's a phrase.
I think that was all of us,
that's a phrase in everybody's life. Then COVID. And, I had these 211 tour dates just ripped, just gone. I had just bought in a house in Tucson, and I was supposed to open for Kaleo that year. I was supposed to do a couple shows with Dashboard Confessional. I was supposed to do like a 2-week run with Louis Capaldi. There was like some big things that were happening that I was very, very excited about. And then that happened, and then it just kind of all went away.
And the crazy thing is today you're here, you're alive still. Yeah. I think a lot of us feel that state of devastation. It's like, what the hell am I going to do next? And then some people deviate to like alternative means to kind of get over that, like drinking or drugs, whatever. But you're here, and you seem like you're in a solid state. You seem like you got your thoughts together mostly. Because that's kind of what your mindset. So like on YouTube, so I'll mention that too. So if you keep talking, I'll kind of mention that on the YouTube channel. That's kind of what you've explored, right? That kind of mentality, that mental state. If you go to Casey's YouTube channel, he talks about that a lot. From the videos that I've seen. Mm-hmm. I have trolled Casey a little bit, so I'm a bit of a internet troll.
That's fine. I like getting trolled. You'll notice some of my awesome. I pride myself on how awesome my titles are and my thumbnails. Well, I've only.
You did come up with the show name today, so
I did. No, but once that happened, I went through a pretty like significant period of time where I was pretty bitter and resentful. I mean, I still get bitter and resentful every now and then, but I was very resentful and bitter when that happened because I was having the mindset. It was the classic like victim mentality, like, oh, of course, after all I went through, like this would happen, and I felt like it was just happening to me. And I feel like a lot of time we get caught up in our own suffering that we don't realize that there's a whole other world out there that's also going through a similar thing, or probably a lot worse for a lot of people. Much worse than me. I don't have kids or anything, so that could have been horrible. But after I was able to just kind of through some like a lot of meditations and journaling to just really understand and accept that this was the reality of the world, then ironically that's kind of when things started happening again, which is strange. So I think that once you acknowledge that everything is your fault as far as what you do with what happens to you, then after that, that's when you level up in your growth, and that's when you level up your ability to understand that many things are going to happen to you that are out of your control, and you can really only control what you say and what you do. Once you're able to accept that, then pretty much the rest of life comes much easier than it could have been, as opposed to if you could just continue to wallow in your self-pity, which is exactly why I've strayed away from social media a lot. I have a certain period of time where I allot myself to be on it nowadays. But just that perpetual victim mentality, it gets you nowhere.
Yeah, it doesn't get you anywhere.
It gets you nowhere.
And so the song Careless.
Shapeless.
Or Shapeless, I'm sorry. So does that kind of play along with the sentiment and kind of what you were going through at the time?
That song.
What was the meaning of that song?
Okay, so that song I wrote that song when I was in Europe in 2017. Yeah. And that song came about more out of, I'm not going to out the person on the podcast, but it wasn't necessarily written about me, although I love that song and I relate very much. It could be about me for sure, but it wasn't inspired by me. It was actually inspired by a couple that was going through a really challenging time.
Well, and see, that's what I picked up. When I was listening to the song, it seemed like you wanted to, or at least the impression that I got, it seemed like you wanted to connect with something that you'd lost. And it's just like, you don't know who you are anymore because you've just lost that feeling. And it's not so much a thing, it's just that feeling.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I picked up from this song. You're just trying to get back into shape.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, I think another way to look at it, or at least how I've perceived it, because sometimes you don't know what a song's about until you're done writing it. But now looking back, I realize that it absolutely could have been written about me and like what I've experienced many times. But I think it's more so regarding sometimes when you're in that state or you're going through a period of time where you don't know how you feel and you don't know what the next step is. You're just in a perpetual state of I don't know. And that's kind of what Shapeless is, because like you don't know what form you're taking. You're just going
in the mix of some
cosmic.
You're in the KitchenAid of whatever's going on.
Yeah, the KitchenAid of despair or uncertainty or suffering or whatever it may be. But yeah, that's kind of the focal point behind that song.
Well, so since there is a guitar behind you, do you want to pick up on that? And then coincidentally,
I'm not prepared for this at all.
I didn't. We didn't prepare this at all. But as you're setting up there, I did want to mention that we're having our RCO Network event on July 21st. The link is going to be in the description. So if you want to see Casey Ryan live, he's going to be joining us that day for our event. Tickets are on sale right now. There is a coupon code. If you reach out, drop a line, we will send that to you. But also, I did want to mention, because we're going to basically play out the song and then just do some touch-ups as we go out. But we're nearing the end of the show, as we have come. So if you want to reach out to Casey on his website, it's CaseyRyanMusic.com. I'll go ahead and put that right there. Look at that. Look at that guy. Looks very famous there. He's
awesome.
Says "Happy Alone" on your
Alone
bicep
tattoo.
there.
I got that. That was an impulsive tattoo. I don't necessarily. I do believe that still, but it's not. I don't know. I've changed.
Well, it's kind of like a marker, right? It's like the history book of your life on your body.
I think it's important to be happy. You need to be able to be happy by yourself. Like, for example, I go like in the mountains all the time or do crazy shit by myself. That's important. I'm not, but connection. I've realized, especially since COVID, is far more important.
Absolutely. And then also follow Casey Ryan here on YouTube, Casey Ryan /videos. Also on Instagram, Casey Ryan Music. Find him there. And I will kind of go back and forth on the websites as you play, but the floor is yours, sir.
All right. Keep it locked down deep. I won't let it out, 'cause it's mine to keep. This burden I bear, I'll go it alone. Just don't forget about me. Oh, please don't forget about me. Carved out of stone and built from the ash. I couldn't give it all, 'cause it's all I had. So don't change your mind while I'm losing mine. I want you to forget about me. Oh, please just forget about me. Take it in straight with me, one step at a time, just to make you believe. Stand up and lie to me. Yeah, am I all that you want and all that you need? Is for me just to let it go. Just to let go. I'm carved out of stone and built from the ash. I couldn't give it all, but it's all I had. So don't change your mind while I'm losing mine. I want you to forget about me. Oh, please just forget about me. We'll take it in straight with me, one step at a time, just to make you believe. Stand up and lie to me. Am I all that you want and all that you need? Is for me just to let go. Just to let go. So don't just stand there and wait for me now. I'm ready for you to walk out. to me now. I'm giving you up, I want out. We'll take it in straight with me, one step at a time, just to make you believe. Stand up and lie to me. Am I all that you want and all that you need? Is for me just to let it go, just to let go, just to let go. It's for me just to let it go.
All right. Well, Casey Ryan, we interrupted the live studio audience. I gotta love it. But again, follow Casey Ryan at Casey Ryan Music. I'm gonna put that up here on the screen. I love disrupting the flow.
It's all good, man.
Casey Ryan Music here on Instagram, as well as CaseyRyanMusic.com. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you coming in and playing a song.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
It was awesome. I loved disrupting the quota.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
And to all you guys, thank you for joining. If you have any comments or questions, the links are below, and we will follow up with you next week here on Unedited. So catch you guys soon.
Take it easy.